Hey there, YouTube. It's Mr. Anonymity Trade coming to you with an FNM report and deck tech. This is going to be the first FNM report on my channel. Actually, the first deck tech as well, but hopefully not the last. I typically don't attend FNM, as many of you know. I have a very busy schedule, and I don't find Standard to be a particularly compelling format, mainly because of the lack of imagination when it comes to creating the decks. It gets really old really quickly to see the top 16 T2 decks just remade over and over and over, depending on how much money people have to spend on their standard decks. It can be rather depressing. But since I'm not in my local area, I actually had the opportunity to try out a new meta, an evolving meta, which is even better. My friend invited me to come to a shop with him that is on the rise to the point where they don't have core support yet. So prize support was a little lacking, but surprisingly good for the size of their store. It was really interesting to play in a group of people that's kind of finding its equilibrium, and so I was enticed to go. So much so, in fact, that I built my deck. It's a very casual deck. In 20 minutes before I left. So much so that it looks like this. I call it my red-headed stepchild deck. Not only because it's mono-red aggro, but because I just sleeved it with the sleeves I had lying around. For those of you who aren't familiar with that colloquialism, red-headed stepchildren are typically, at least in this reference, are analogous to an unwanted child. It's usually used in the reference of, I'll beat you like a redheaded stepchild, something like that. So it's a ragtag, unwanted deck because it's not particularly expensive with any of its components, but it was super effective and super fun to play. So I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to explain why I had the pieces in it that I did, and then I'll talk to you about the overall approach I had when it came to this deck. So it's rather interesting to make this fun for me and fun for the people I play against. I tried to build something of an interesting deck, something that they probably haven't encountered in a while, and so I built Tribal. Well, and you'll say, Mr. Anonymity Trade, there's plenty of Tribal going on right now, but not Tribal like this. It's one of the classic red Tribal decks, and I think a lot of you older school players might appreciate this. I played mono red goblins. Okay, so let's look through my creatures really quick. I'll explain, like I said, I'll explain everything. First, starting out, we had a play set of Goblin Arsonist. Great 1-drop, 1/1, but when it gets destroyed, when Arsonist dies, you may have it deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So good for early removal, kind of an eye for an eye card, but it also plays really well with some of my combo pieces, which you will be seeing later. So there's that. It's a good frontline soldier for the first couple of turns. Interesting effect, plays well. So next, we have another 1-drop, a Goblin Fireslinger. This one's nice to kind of swing past blockers. Goblin Fireslinger is a 1/1 for 1 red that you can tap to deal 1 damage to target player. So that's nice to take pot shots. Might not make a huge splash in formats like EDH where there are more health to be had, but as you know, Standard is 20, so even a stray 1 damage can be a game winner. Next, we have 2 Goblin Wardriver. Basic pump, it's 2 red for a 2/2, which has the ability Battle Cry, which essentially means when it attacks, other attacking things get +1/+0, which is good. It's just it's a booster, and 2/2 for 2. That's a good mana curve in my opinion. The most expensive creature we had, sadly enough, was a Goblin Chieftain, 2 of them. So 2 generic, I'm sorry, 2 red and 1 generic. You probably know about the cheap, but I'll explain it anyway. It's got haste, which means he can attack as soon as you hit the field, just in case you don't know what haste is. And other goblin creatures you control get 1/1 and have haste. So that's good. If you've got a chieftain on the field, turn 3, you can really speed up an aggro deck. So, plus goblin, just gotta stick with the theme. And here's the card that I kind of built the deck around, mainly because when I was looking through my cards, I have all my cards separated by color. I was looking through my cards and I ran across this one, and I realized I'd never really given it a second look. But it is a fantastic card, and I don't know why I didn't earlier. It's from Scars. I believe it's from Scars. Yes, and it is just great. I'm surprised I haven't seen it in more decks. We have a playset of Goblin Gavalier. Now, what's awesome about this guy is he's a 1/1 for 1, so pretty standard 1-drop, but he has Trample, which doesn't sound very impressive until you get to Goblin Gavalier gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. Sounds like a fairly standard ability, but worked out in my favor quite a bit. I'll explain that a little bit later. So, let's move on. Next, we've got sorceries, which were awesome. So you guys know me. I'm a huge fan of this one. We had 2 Red Sun Zenith in main deck. It's kind of like Fireball, even though there's Fireball in Standard. Just great damage dealing card, whether it's going to be a large amount of damage or just really cheap shots. The great thing about Red Sun Zenith, though, is that you can cycle it back into your deck, which is awesome. Really, really love that ability. This is another card that I'm surprised hasn't seen more play, Kuldotha Rebirth. It's a 1-drop, and as an additional cost to Kuldotha Rebirth, sacrifice an artifact. Put 3 red 1/1 red goblin creature tokens onto the battlefield. So destroy an artifact, get 3 goblins. Now, you might wonder, I thought, Mr. Anonymity Trade, I thought you were going to put equipment artifacts onto your Gavaliers. That's true, I did do that. But when that equipment is either unaccompanied in your hand or becomes disadvantageous, let's say you've cleared the board and there's no other creatures that can really attack you, it could be a good time to use Kuldotha Rebirth and then combine it with this next sorcery. Playset of Goblin Grenades. And let me tell you, I got into semantics with this. I did clear an artifact, like I unequipped it, cleared an artifact with the, actually no, it came in unequipped. Cleared an artifact with Kuldotha Rebirth, got 3 goblins, and played 2 Goblin Grenades out of my hand. For 10. Didn't get countered. My opponent didn't have any lands open, and I think he might have had a Mana Leak in hand, but it was a game winner, you know. He was, I think, down to 8, and 2 Goblin Grenades. Devastating. Fantastic combination, in my opinion. Moving on, we've got Instance. 4 playset of Incinerate. Really awesome card. 3 damage to target creature or player, so it's going to either destroy a lot of creature cards in Standard, or give you 3 on your opponent. So that's great. It's awesome. And if it destroys a creature, it can't be regenerated that turn, which is good for some cards in Reanimator, because they just have the regenerate cost, which is really cheap. But you can forestall that if you use an Incinerate to destroy them as opposed to anything else. We have a playset of Galvanic Blast. It's a 1-drop that does 2. But I was able to get in for the metal craft damage several times tonight. So I got the 4 damage in. It was pretty nice. And, of course, we have 2 Crush, just to deal with any stray artifacts. I did come up against a Sword of Body and Mind, I believe, and, you know, it was mainly a response to things like Grafdigger's Cage. And then in artifacts, we have 2 Shrine of Burning Rage. Fantastic. Something a lot of people don't realize is that summoning a creature is a spell. So you can shrine up really quick with a red aggro deck. And if you didn't know that, remember that for next time. Summoning a creature is a spell. If it's a red spell, it counts. Put some counters on there. Burn them. Then we have 2 Silver Inlaid Dagger, just pretty standard equipment for Gavalier. You know, +2/+0, attached to his automatic boost of +2/+0 makes him a 5/1 in 1 turn. So beating. Plus he's got Trample already. It's a sick combination. Then, of course, 2 Cobbled Wings. Just in case I'm having trouble with defenders, which I did a few times. Cobbled Wings really helped me out. Pop that on, and it becomes, Gavalier becomes a 3/1 flying. Not bad. Oh, and it only costs 2, so not bad at all. And 20 mountains. I ran 20 mountains. I just got really nervous about Mana Screw because, you know, I just always do. Hitting Mana Screw with an aggro deck is the fastest way to go down in a game, because you have to have your mana base with an aggro deck. Otherwise, it's not something you can salvage. It's not a slow enough deck that you can salvage that situation. For my sideboard, I had another Silver Inlaid Dagger, just in case if I wasn't hitting my daggers, you know, wasn't getting the boost I need. Blazing Torch to kind of deal with zombie and vampire decks. If you guys haven't used, a lot of these cards that I've been listing are really underrated cards. Blazing Torch actually got me past blue-black zombies really easily. Wooden Stake, great response to vampire decks, especially if you can affix it onto the tokens, like Kuldotha Rebirth. Slap a Wooden Stake on there. They'll attack. Vampires destroyed just to clear your board. 2 Darksteel Axe, just in case you run up against someone with Artifact Destruction in their deck, like I have, Crush. But the more popular option tonight that I saw was Naturalize. So, you know, I would resolve Silver Inlaid Dagger and attach it as an equipment, only to have it destroyed by Naturalize. So I sided in Darksteel Axe, and that took care of that problem. And 2 Executioner's Hood. I didn't really play this, but I thought it would be a good idea. Equipped has Intimidate, so basically, you know my train of thought. Gavalier with Intimidate and Trample, and it's a 3/1. I mean, Intimidate and Trample together. Yeah, whatever. I needed to pad my sideboard. I had 2 Red Sun Zenith, just in case I was up against a slow deck. Which I was. So I was able to get a little bit of damage out of that. 2 Shock. That's 2 damage for 1. It's not a bad card, but, you know, I would have preferred a Lightning Bolt. Why? Come on, Wizards. Why? Of course, that without a Lightning Bolt. But they did have this, 2 Fireballs. And I actually didn't use them at all. I didn't run up against any decks that were slow enough to use Fireballs in them to set up a Fireball for a good amount of damage. But I put them on my sideboard because, you know, I'm a mono red player. Fireball is kind of a, I don't know, you just have to have it. So it was actually a really balanced deck. I went 3-1 in my pod. Only lost to 1 deck. All of my others were straight wins. No draws. Didn't have any game losses. But my big loss, I lost twice out of the 3 rounds with Humans, surprisingly. He was able to generate a lot of tokens, a lot of spirit tokens off of things like Midnight Haunting and Lingering Souls, and I can see why the deck is so intense. The guy who went 4-0 actually was playing Blue-White Delver, and there was a ridiculous amount of money in his deck. So there's an obvious reason why he left. I mean, why he won. Basically, my methodology with this deck was that I was encountering a new meta. People might ask why I didn't use more expensive cards or create one of the more mainline decks. Even though I could have done that, I wanted to have fun with this deck, and I really I didn't feel like going into a new situation and blowing people out of the water, because that's a way to make yourself really unwelcome really quickly. If you just go to your first FNM at a new shop and dominate with an obviously expensive deck, you know, you're gonna get the disapproving looks every time. You got to allow for, especially for, in my case, where there are a lot of younger players, you got to allow for them to have good experiences that will keep them coming back. So I didn't want to build a deck that blew people out of the water. That being said, my deck was pretty unintentionally successful. But I think that has a lot to do with the fact that the meta has evolved in such a way, especially in such a small shop, that they were setting up win conditions for decks they were used to seeing, and my deck was something of a dark horse. Super effective, awesome combos that I was surprised by. I didn't think Tribal Goblins was viable, but it was pretty fantastic. If I went back next week, which I'm not sure I'll be able to, but if I did, I wouldn't run again. I'll build a different deck, because it's easy to respond to. It's basically a one-shot thing, just to shake up your meta. But I would suggest you guys do that if you have a shop you usually go to, rather than playing one of the mainline decks. Build a fun deck to kind of shake things up. You might be successful. As I said, price for it was pretty decent. For my second place, I was awarded 3 packs. The first place winner, which I was pretty jealous of, was awarded 5 packs, and since they don't have price support, they didn't have any promo cards, so he got to pick out of their singles binder, and it was up to, I think, $10. That's pretty nice. It's pretty awesome, because it didn't have to be in standard. It could be a non-standard card, so, you know, the prices are more fixed when it comes to those cards. I think the promo card is still Tech Edge for FNM. But you can probably expect to see Roxaboxen and I going to an FNM, not together, of course, but 2 FNMs next month, because the promo card next month is Dismember, just in case you guys didn't know. You should really keep up on that kind of information, because, you know, just in case you want to trade with me. So, let's open our packs. We'll start with a Sorin pack. I was very tempted to open these while I was at the shop, because there were a lot of great cards to trade for there. I'll definitely go back to the shop. But so let's just check it out. Potential foil or land. So since I haven't opened a lot of Dark Ascension on the channel, we'll look at all the cards. Our commons are Russet Wolves, Artful Dodge, which I hear is great, Hollowhinge Beast, Nephalia Seakite, Midnight Guard, Wolvenwald Bear, Undying Evil, Griptide. Our uncommons are Curse of Thirst, Strangleroot Geist, which is not bad, and a Gavony Ironwright. Our rare is an Alpha Brawl. We have a human token, a checklist card, and our flip card is Chosen of Markov. It's a foil. We have a foiled Gruesome Discovery. So that's pretty cool. Next pack. Oh, potential foil. We have a Stormbound Geist as our first card. A Silverclaw Griffin. Tripped over that. Silverclaw Griffin. A Spiteful Shadows. An Executioner's Hood. Oh. Bar the Door, Bone to Ash, which is super cool. If anyone has foils of these, I might be interested in picking those up. Gather the Townsfolk, Sightless Ghoul, and Fires of Undeath. Our uncommons are Niblis of the Breath, another Gavony Ironwright, and Secrets of the Dead. Our rare is a Ghoul Tree. We've got a tip card, which is going directly in the garbage, and another Chosen of Markov is my flip card. No foil, plains. Oh, potential foil. So, starting off on the right foot, we've got a Faithless Looting. Great red card. Fantastic red card. Headless Scab. Silverclaw Griffin. Said it correctly this time. A Shriekgeist. Ulvenwald Bear, which I'm not sure I've mentioned, has my favorite flavor text for Dark Ascension. Out Chasing Bears, Kessig expression meaning died in the woods. Undying Evil, Griptide, Elgod Inquisitor. Our uncommons are Harrowing Journey, Wolf Hunter's Quiver, which I actually haven't seen. Interesting. And Burning Oil. Our rare is a mythic Vorapede. Not bad. We have a Vampire Token. A full checklist card. Look how happy I am. And our flip card is a Hinterland Hermit. Hinterland Scourge. We have a foil this time. A foiled Nephalia Seakite. Not bad. It's actually a really cool foil. Wish you guys could see it the way I can. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So, not bad. Vorapede. Faithless Looting. Anyway, it was super fun to be involved in an FNM. Hopefully, like I said, I'll be able to do more of them in the near future. If not, I'll be looking into doing more competition type stuff. I'll post a tapped out deck list to my Red-Headed Stepchild deck, just in case you guys want to give it a check out. Feel free to leave in the comments below your thoughts on the deck and ideas you have for interesting decks to shake up your local meta. As always, this is Mr. Anonymity Trade, telling you to trade safe.